A lot of times when a married couple, when they have issues and they either go their separate ways or one party decides to have an affair, usually we always look at it from one perspective, and that's the perspective of the spouse, be it the man or the woman. Sometimes we don't look at the perspective of the children. How do they perceive these misunderstandings between both spouses? So today I'm going to be speaking with a very good friend of mine, Nathan. Thanks for being on the show. What would you do if you found out that your dad, was having an affair with some other lady?
Well, first, I'd be quite shocked. And
Shocked? Why?
shocked. Well, it's hard to explain because because once you're brought up as a child, you think that your parents are never going to be separated and anything like that, or they're going to be like there for you at all times, and then when you find out that one of them is having an affair, it sort of takes that whole thought and feeling away.
Okay.
Like, kind of security.
Okay, so for you, when your parents are together, it's like security for you. So how does it affect you? Does it affect you emotionally, psychologically? How exactly does it affect you? How do you feel?
To see my father's point for doing it, I wouldn't quite understand it. And seeing my mother and seeing how she's feeling towards what he's done, I'd also be driven by that thought into really bad confusion. So it would kind of put me in the middle and mess with my brain quite a lot. And
okay, now when you say mess with your brain, mess with your brain from what perspective? Now, is it going to mess with you thinking, do you feel like your dad doesn't love you anymore, or do you think it's just something, it's a phase? Couples usually have misunderstandings, they probably come back because there's something key you said that when you're growing up, you don't ever think your parents will get separated. Now, what's make you thinking separation? Your dad hasn't left your mom, he's just having an affair, so why are you thinking separation?
it's just because usually if they're having an affair, that would mean that there would have been something going on. In my view, there would have been something going on between, something very bad enough for the dad to go off to someone else.
And so what would you advise? Would you take sides with your dad or take sides with your mom? What exactly would you do?
I wouldn't take sides because as I said, I'd be in this really big state of confusion whether to know if it's right or wrong.
Okay.
Because it's my dad, and most children trust their dads quite a lot, and then they trust their mums a lot. So from seeing their mum being quite sad, depressed, and then seeing the dad off somewhere else most of the time, it's kind of like muddling up in the brain, whereas whether to see if something's right or wrong.
Okay, so growing up, if you got married and your wife, for one reason or the other, your wife, just messes up or she makes you angry or you're not satisfied, would you do the same thing that your dad would do?
No.
Why?
Because, well, it's like in friendships, if like every sort of fight comes along and messes that kind of bond, and it very closely comes severed, but sometimes if you understand the feeling that the person is having and the way that they approach the situation, you'd come back with that new kind of key information.
I mean, take for example, okay, what if you found out that your, a lady that you were married to was having affairs with different men doing stuff? But, doing stuff. Like stuff. What exactly, what would you do? Would you still stay and, what exactly would you do?
Well,
Yeah, I'm curious. What would you do?
It's just really confusing because you would love the wife quite a lot, and I would go to see what the situation would be about.
So you would try and find out.
And try and find out why she would be having an affair, and kind of resolve that.
Okay. So what if she gave you good reasons, but she keeps going back to having affairs? What would you just what would you do? Okay. Do you believe that when spouses go apart, do you think it has an effect on children?
Yeah, it does have an effect on children.
Okay, so imagine in your mind right now that your dad said, you know what, he's had it with your mom. He going. I'm no longer interested. Packs his bags and walks away.
At first, the first feeling that would hit me is deep confusion.
Okay.
And then I'd start coming to the conclusion that my dad probably doesn't want me anymore. Seeing as he's gone away from my mother without giving a second thought about me, I'd start thinking about what I've done wrong.
Wow.
And the things
Wow.
I could have done to make him stay.
Wow. So in a way you're thinking it's probably your fault as well. Wow. I mean, he's having an affair with a woman, you know. How do you come into play as a faulty? if I dare to use that word, how is that your fault?
It's just in the moment of time, you'd think, because you'd have a special bond with your mother, and so once your father comes along and says, "I'm packing my bags to leave, I'm leaving," you would feel quite. I can't.
You look confused. Wow. Well, how old are you again, Nathan?
12.
You're 12. You're thinking this way. Well, I know your dad and I know your mom, and we don't pray stuff like that happens. But it's nice to hear your perspective, really, because I mean, there are a few things you've spoken about. You've spoken about how, you know, it would leave you confused, and you know, you probably, if you got married, you wouldn't make the same mistake, you know, of leaving. But above all, the one that really hit me was you saying that, you know, you would think that there was something wrong with you, that your dad rejected you likewise, you know, having to just leave your mom. Interesting. Thanks, buddy. Thanks as always. Yo, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. So it's interesting getting to hear from his perspective what a small affair that splits a family into. See the kind of damage it can cause. It is well.